It's a difficult question because, of course, we are all so different and we do all have to find our own way through grief. But I think there are better ways and not such helpful ways of grieving. So I think the things I'd say are it won't always feel this bad. As Jane said, that it never goes away. The hole is still there, but it is a lot less jagged around the edges. I think another thing I'd say is it's okay to feel difficult things. Grieving is not just about sadness. It's about uncomfortable feelings like anger and guilt and bitterness and envy. And I think we have to remember that it's okay to feel those things. And we also, it's really important that we try to let ourselves feel everything we're feeling, that we try not to sort of keep a lid on it. Because as Jane says, it will out in the end. And I think sometimes we actually have to actively, sort of consciously make space for grief. I don't know what Jane's experience of this is, but I mean, as a therapist, I ended up going back to work 2 months after Sam died. And, that was pretty early, really. But the sort of deal I did with myself in going back was I will take longer breaks. I will try to give myself more time off, and I will try to create times when I can actually connect with my grief and with Sam. And I was quite active in that. I would go and look at photos and play recordings of his voice, and I would really allow it to come. And I think, don't be scared of grief. It will feel overwhelming at times, but actually what it costs us to keep it in is far worse than what it costs us to let it out. Do ask for help, because sometimes we need help with this, and particularly if you're feeling stuck, I would say to anyone, get help. There's plenty out there. The project Jane runs, the Good Grief Project, looks absolutely fantastic, everything they do. And so I would say, do ask for help, and most of all, on a practical level, keep on doing the things that help you. For me, that was connecting with nature. It was walking the dog. It was having those routines. Really, really important. And I think most of all, keep alive the person who's died. If we don't actively keep them alive, if we don't allow ourselves to feel all the pain, then I've known people who somehow, in locking away the pain, also lock away all the good stuff. And that's really a tragedy, because what we have to learn to do is to accommodate the person who's died, in a new way. We have to sort of develop a new relationship with them, so that we'll never move on. I mean, I hate it when people talk about moving on, because I don't think you do move on. I think what you can do is move forward, and take that person with you.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. How about you, Jane?
Yeah, I so agree with Jill. I mean, we have so much in common. Our boys were 22, which is staggering, really. 22 being very significant in your book as well.
Yes, it is.
But what I would say is that, for me, what really helps is the discovery that grief is about openings, not closure. And for me, closure is the dirty C word. It really is. And that, for me, discovering that grief isn't linear, that it isn't about the stages of grief, because the stages are really useful, but they all happen out of sync and in different order. And they happen when you least, it creeps up on you when you least expect it. So it's about being prepared for the unexpected. It's about shedding the burden of trying to present yourself in a way that's okay for other people. You have to actually make friends with your grief, and you have to allow other people in a way, the right people to see what that means. But I think it's important to choose who you share your grief with, because some people really, with the best will in the world, could be the kindest hearted in the world, aren't up for it or up to it, and they know that, but they don't know how to say it. So sometimes you have to help people to say, I don't know if I can help you. So choose who you talk to. Find peer support groups. The Compassionate Friends, for example, is a wonderful group. Find peer support so that people are speaking to you from the inside looking out. They get it from first-hand experience. I think continuing bonds is hugely important. You know, as I said before, it's learning to live with this new normal that is, I suppose it's about that hole in your heart, but actually with time, you become clearer and clearer that that isn't a hole anymore, that Josh is with me wherever I go. I take him with me comfortably almost, and I share my thinking with him, and I wonder about what it would be like, what Josh would be doing. But I also rejoice in the fact that through his death, amazing things have happened as well. And one of the things that I couldn't ever have imagined is that his brother fell in love with Josh's best friend, and they now have 2 babies together who are my grandchildren. And I'm so lucky to have other children, because lots of bereaved parents don't. I'm also really lucky to have grandchildren, because a lot of bereaved parents will never have grandchildren. But the thing is that out of the love shared for Josh, this amazing thing happened. And I would do anything to bring him back. But isn't that incredible that, you know, that connection, that continuing bond, that sort of love of Josh has connected so many people. And through our films, we've been able to share that with other people too. And I suppose you have to be open to whatever is going to happen next, because I would never have imagined my life would have taken the course it's taken. And I would have done everything to change it initially. But I think that with acceptance and forgiveness, and I mean self-forgiveness too, because I think every bereaved parent, as Jill knows, blames themselves to a certain degree, however illogical it is. We should never blame ourselves, but we do. And I think that we have to be kind to ourselves. And I would say to every bereaved parent, every bereaved person out there, be kind to yourself, because at the end of the day, if you don't forgive yourself, you're really going to struggle. And you need to be kind to yourself. I've had to be kind to myself, and I think Jill's clearly been kind to herself. And I think, Mark, you've been kind to yourself too, because we've all lived the nightmare of the worst things that can happen, and yet we've all come through it. I think I can say stronger. I see Mark's strength, I see Jill's strength, I feel my strength. And it might sound strange to say, but I'm so happy to have learned this about myself and been able to meet the amazing, charismatic, powerful, wonderful, brave people that I've met through my learning, through what Josh has taught me in his short life, 22 years. I wish it could have been longer, but 22 years is quite a long time.